I've got a bar, and the bar's got somebody who thinks he's tough as a nickel steak. But they all come to speed for the do-re-mi.
Now get this. We ain't partners, we ain't brothers, and we ain't friends.
My little brother was 15 years old. Think about that. You'll wake up to hell.
How about cutting heads?
Oh, I get it. You want some kind of contest, huh?
You're a real smart boy, ain't you?
I guess maybe you'll have to kill me.
It'll hurt if I do.
Well, looks like I finally ran into someone that likes to play as rough as I do.
Yeah, this must be your lucky night.
And my buddies, they're not nice like me.
Are we supposed to say thanks?
You're not supposed to say nothing, soldier.
I'll be coming for her, and I'll be coming for you, too.
Sure you will. And I'll be waiting.
You are about to enter a world unlike any you've ever seen before, where rock and roll is king. The only law is a loaded gun. Where the beautiful...
Stay and see the show, it's really good.
The brutal...
I want Tom Cody.
And the brave all meet.
From now on, it's for real.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of Last Call of Torchies. I am one of your hosts, Gary Hill, and with me, as usual, is Lee Russell. How you doing, sir?
Not too bad, Gary, although last time I checked, I feel like I'm missing a couple sledgehammers, and I don't know where they went to. But other than that, pretty good.
Yeah, this is, yeah, that could be a thing. Especially in this universe.
Yeah.
With me, as usual, is Mr. Cameron Scott. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. There's bright neon fucking everywhere around here.
How could they afford all those fancy stage lights in such a bad neighborhood? I don't know. It's strange, you know.
Seems like you'd be replacing those on the nightly.
Man, bad wiring or whatnot.
The Rick Moranis has got deep pockets, man. He can do this.
He saved all that money on them clothes, you know. Yeah, we're here to talk about a film I've covered about probably 4 or 5 times by now. I'm doing it again, y'all. Streets of Fire from 1984. Your cheap plot synopsis is: a mercenary is hired to rescue his ex-girlfriend, a singer who has been kidnapped by a motorcycle gang. This is directed by Walter Hill, written by Walter Hill and Larry Gross. This has a big cast of some returning characters from other Walter Hill joints. Michael Pare as Tom Cody, our hero, or is he? We'll talk about that. Diane Lane as Ellen Aim. These are all welcome to the programs, by the way. Rick Moranis as Billy Fish. Amy Madigan as McCoy. Willem Dafoe as Raven. Deborah Van Valkenburg as Riva, Tom's sister. Welcome back to the show from the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Lawson as Ed Price, our African-American cop. Rick Rossovich as Officer Cooley, our white, token white cop. Even from, Terminator, same year. Top Gun a couple years later, so he's in stuff, you know. Bill Paxton, first appearance as Clyde the bartender. Lee fucking Ving, I gotta say, put the fucking in there, as Greer, as Raven's number 2. You got the Sorrells up in this motherfucker. Stoney Jackson as Bird, Grandel Bush as Reggie, Robert Townsend as Lester, and Nicolette Williamson as BJ. These are all actors that you've seen in 1,000 things. And, good shit. Ishi Daly shows up as Baby Doll, looking very cute in this movie, of course.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the program, Lynn Thigpen as Motor Woman. Run of the train, but not run of the train.
Running the train poorly.
Oh, yeah. Well, she can't go, man. The bobbers are pissed off, man. Ed Begley, I gotta mention he shows up. Ed Begley Jr. shows up as a hobo called Ben Gunn, and in a hilarious scene. And Gozer the Gozerian herself, Marine Jahan, shows up as the Torchy's dancer, and boy, can she dance her ass off in this movie.
Wow, was that Gozer? Was that really Gozer?
Yes, it's the same actress.
Hot damn. Hats off.
Yeah. Skirts off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that too.
I love this film. People know this, so I'm going to kick it to one of my co-hosts first. And as Lee, what do you think, sir?
This was another first-time watch for me out of the Walter Hill canon. So I did kind of know what this was about. So hence I was able to, think of something that would pair, I think, fairly well with it for our Patreon episode that we're going to do. But yeah, it was still quite surprising, even though I kind of knew like the general plot synopsis of it. Really interesting kind of mix of sort of a noir, a biker movie. It's a musical, but not the annoying kind of musical where people are singing dialogue. It's just there's a lot of bands and stuff, and you get to see them play full songs and shit like that, which is always cool. It seems like it's kind of set in a strange dystopian world of some sort, where it's like the 1950s fashions and styles never stopped, and we're in the 80s now, and it's still sort of going strong. It's kind of like an alternate reality that's like this highly stylized noir world with like a comic book tone. And I guess looking into the background of this a little bit, they essentially were like, we want to make a perfect like comic book movie again. We want to do like the Warriors over again in a way. But I would argue this is definitely not style over substance once we get into the discussion of this thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed this first time watch. I'm definitely going to go back to it. And we'll get into our sort of deeper thoughts on this, but I thought it was really good.
Cool. Cameron?
Well, this was not a first-time watch for me. This is maybe a third or a fourth-time watch. I had not traveled down the streets of fire very often. I had probably seen this since the 90s, and I forgot how goddamn good it was. I forgot how star-studded it was, and seeing young Willem Dafoe and a young dick-headed Rick Moranis in it. It was not shot in the physical style of Sin City, but it felt like a movie that was in that same kind of genre.
Right.
Film noir meets comic book style, and I love it from the first frame when it says a rock and roll fable. It is. It's just it's great. It's got we'll probably talk about this a little bit more, but Ry Cooder, enough said. I mean, what else do you need to say about that score? And Willem Dafoe just hamming it up. It's great for all the right reasons. It's is it a perfect movie? No, but I mean, it's the first time I think we get Torchy's referenced by name.
Yeah, I think so.
I think for thumbs up for that, but it is a little bit, it kind of reeks of the Warriors, but every good director dips back into the well a little bit, I think, but I love it. I love it for the action, for the rock and roll, the great cast. It's almost an impeccable film.
I love this film. People know this. Usually when they say, "Hey, we're doing Streets of Fire," and it's a friend of mine, they usually call on me to say, "Hey, he likes this movie, so let's do it." There's so many things about this film that I love. I mean, it kicks right into gear with Ellen Aim, the Attacker's performance, which is not Diane Lane singing people, but she's working her ass off to look like she is. Much like another
She's giving it her best.
She is giving it her best. You get right away, come out of the gate, you know what kind of film you're going to get, which is basically a couple years later, the opening to Double Dragon. if you think about it, you see Double Dragon, these thugs walk up. She doesn't get punched in the gut, I don't think, which is terrible in that video game. But just take it away, and of course, Billy and Jimmy have to go after her. And in this case, Tom Cody's called back from I guess being on furlough from the army to come help a tense situation and rescue his ex-girl, whether he wants to or not, basically. Yeah,
I don't think he really wants to.
He doesn't really want to.
No.
I don't think he gives a shit.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do anything. He just kind of sleepwalks through this shit. He's like, oh, I guess we have to do this.
Like, I'm too cool for school, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys never seen him before, going into it, guys, just know that Tom Cody is about 85% an asshole in this movie. Throughout.
Apparently, Michael Pare was an asshole as well.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
Apparently, him and Rick Moranis did not get along, and he wanted to punch Rick Moranis in the face, and it's like, come on, really, Ricky? You want to punch Ricky in the face? No, I ain't having it.
Yeah, everything, the cars and the motorcycles, and I'm not a gun enthusiast, but I'm a big fan of the TV show The Rifleman, so the gun that he uses really makes me happy in this movie. Just blowing up motorcycles.
I'm just a fan of any movie where the guy's gearing up, and so when he goes and buys those guns from the auto mechanic contact that he has or whatever, it's like, yeah, this guy, he left this shit as payment because he couldn't, pay for his car or whatever the fuck. So it's just like, okay, here's the tools he's going to use when we finally get to the scene where he's got to use them and shit. And I always like that.
He already had the jacket, so he was one up right there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot to love about this film. The cast is really big. I mean, the sets are really big. They made it look like basically downtown Chicago would look if it was in like a dystopian, possibly 1950s future / whatever. And
yeah,
it looks really good.
It looks lived in, right? Like, like I was saying, it's like it's not just style over substance of this film. It the world feels lived in. The characters themselves, I'll kind of argue, kind of surface level for the most part, kind of archetypes more than anything else. But I mean, sort of had the same thing in the Warriors. It's not a complaint. Although
there's not a lot of depth to the characters, but
no,
I can live with that.
I'll say maybe to like Michael Pare's detriment, where it's kind of like, why is he the hero of this when clearly it's his plucky tomboy sidekick who's kind of the real hero here?
Right.
It's kind of like Big Trouble in Little China. Jack Burton's not really the hero of the movie. Everybody else is kind of doing it for him. He looks really good on that undershirt. So
the problem is Michael Pare isn't inept like Jack Burton is, and he's also not funny. So
yeah, you get them jokes in Big Trouble in Little China. I can appreciate all that. There's a lot to talk about, and one of the big things is Willem Dafoe, and just this is look. I mean, I had never seen The Loveless, but he was doing this kind of movie back in these days.
He's really good in The Loveless as well.
It's on the list of stuff I want to watch.
Yeah, early Catherine Bigelow.
You get that scowl though, and the whole deal with in the leathers, and of course the leather waiters, and his attitude throughout the whole movie is just spot on. Until of course he gets bitched out at the end and starts crying like LeBron James.
When that lip starts quivering, quivering, it's just like, oh, you just broke there, Willem. Come on,
you broke. Are you guys familiar with the actor Richard Widmark?
Yes.
Who was so he was in a bunch of noirs and stuff, and he's famously Tommy Udo, who pushes a old woman down the stairs in her wheelchair in a very shocking moment in a movie. But yeah, he really struck me as like doing Richard Widmark if Richard Widmark was a greaser biker who was into wearing like S&M gear all the time. Like it's a very interesting performance and pretty effective. Like as far as like a memorable performance, although you're sort of right, Gary. Like he kind of bitches out at the end, and he's not really. That's like probably one of the biggest problems of this film overall is that he's not really a threat. I don't really feel like he's a threat necessarily to our hero at all. Like
he thinks he's a threat.
Yeah,
but he's not really.
No,
he's only a threat by sheer numbers alone.
Yeah, Michael Pare never has any problems. Like his problems all stem from his relationship with his ex-girlfriend. Like that's his biggest problem in the entire movie. The rest of it, he just topples guys, and he maybe gets a little close to being beaten by Raven at the end in the fight, but it doesn't feel like he's ever in really danger of losing.
And the end fight, as much as I like it, doesn't make sense to me. They start out with the sledgehammers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do you start out with sledgehammers and then go to fists? I mean, I like it, but it's logistically just doesn't make a lot of sense. And when Willem Dafoe gets bested and he does kind of bitch out at the end, it's just like really disappointing to an extent. You know, yeah. I mean, it doesn't make me hate the movie at all. But yeah, it's just.
It is interesting how this movie is a bit of a departure for Walter Hill in the sense that it's kind of bloodless. It's mostly bloodless, and there's like no deaths in it as far as I can recall. Like no one's killed. It's just fights. It's kind of like a teen movie from the 50s or whatever, right? Like a teen biker movie or something like that, where it was sort of targeted towards a teenage audience, and they weren't going to necessarily have any actual deaths in it. It was just like the motorcycle gang rides in, and then like the high school hero or whatever beats the biker in the final fight or whatever, and they slink off and he gets the girl or whatever kind of thing.
This is probably Walter Hill's one and only PG-rated film, so if they would have pushed that envelope to the R, which the only thing is for, like I said, bloodless film would be a fight to the death in the end, where one of them did die. That'd be the push to the R. Because besides that, it's written in a way to where it feels like an adventure, like the Warriors in a lot of ways, like them going from place to place, but without all the profanity. But the violence is still kind of there, but it's more playful. You could tell what you're going to get at the beginning of the film, but after the Ellen's kidnapping, to where he goes to Reva's restaurant, his sister's restaurant, and he's having it out with this greaser gang in the leather jackets. And he's the one guy pulls a knife on him. He basically bitch slaps him 4 times and takes the knife from him and goes, "Try it again."
Love that. I love that scene.
So you kind of know what kind of violence you're getting in this movie, like just from that scene on. It's gonna be very comic book. It's gonna be very comical. And lots of once you get to the scene at Torchy's where he's blowing up the bomber's motorcycles, you're gonna get lots of fires and explosions, perhaps, but not really. But
a lot of like G.I. Joe / A-Team kind of explosions where things are blowing up left and right, but nobody's really getting destroyed over it. They're all like limping away from the destruction.
Yeah.
You could tell that Steve may have been seriously injured, but not dead at the massacre, but not really at Torchy's.
Yeah, like one guy gets shot by what's her name, the sidekick character, when she's holding the gun on them in their card playing room or whatever while Tom Cody's rescuing Ellen. She does shoot like the one guy who like jumps at her, to call her bluff or whatever, but she shoots him like in the fucking leg or something. So that's about as hard as it goes.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. The violence is very low-key in this movie, but I don't think it really hurts it for me.
No.
In a film like this that's so goddamn cartoony and so, like I said, pick a video game that came after this. There's so many of them that, have aped films like this. If they haven't, aped it totally. Just say, hey, I watched Streets of Violence, but let's make Streets of Rage and make it a thing. Put a robot man in there and shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I do like the biker gang. They're kind of like a bland version of something you'd see in the Warriors, but they're kind of like if Eric von Zipper's gang was actually effective, kind of thing. Like they actually do instill fear in the local populace, and it seems like law and order is very kind of scarce in this like little enclosed universe. So like it does feel like a dystopia. It almost feels like maybe like I don't know, Link Ray became the dictator of the U.S. or something. That's why it's the 1980s, but everything still feels 1950s, and everyone talks like they're in a early Brando biker movie or some shit,
Well, I think being filmed in the 80s, everything is nostalgic. Everybody had, it's just like in the last 10 years, everything's been 80s and 90s. Everything that was once cool becomes cool again. So they're going with that 50s era, mindset that everything in the 50s was cool. And they make it look super cool. I mean, like from opening frame with that neon shining on the wet streets. I mean, like, what kind of movie you're getting into. And it's a good mix of style and substance. I think, the whole idea of it being stuck in kind of a 50s era dystopia is just a neat angle to mine.
And I mean, it works for the 1980s anyway, because I mean, and you're right. You touched on something there, Cameron, that's true, where, every decade they tend to look back a couple decades and kind of fetishize what came before. And there was a lot of that in the 1980s, where like the 1950s sort of ideals and stuff were very prevalent in the culture. And like, you got like the Stray Cats as pop stars and and shit like that, so I mean, even like bands like the Clash were very like 50s greaser influenced in some of their punk look and shit. So yeah, like it's actually kind of surprising to me that this movie didn't do all that well, because it actually kind of, I think it taps right into a lot of that shit that was going on in the 1980s. So
yeah, it is a shame that it's generally considered just a cult hit. The fact that as I was reading up on it, that they planned to do a trilogy just blows my mind. The fact that this bombed and we never got to see, those other two sequels.
Did you guys, either one of you seen the Albert Pune
Road to Hell?
Road to Hell?
I have seen it.
Yeah.
I have interviewed Albert and his wife, and for a Sloppy Seconds show, long time ago. And I'll ask you, have you seen it, Lee? Have you watched it?
I looked at the trailer and I was like, yeah, that's an Albert Pune green screen film. That's for sure.
There's a lot of meat on the bones, though, and I'll tell you, it's not the same film as this, but it feels more like a one-act stage play, to where McCoy is dead, Ellen is dead, they have a child together that he's trying to get back to, but he's basically stuck in purgatory.
Oh,
and it's nothing like this movie at all, but it's different, but it's probably, I would say, one of the more enjoyable, but unfortunately not seen Albert Pune films. I don't think he ever had a distribution for it, but if you contact his website or him, he's active on Facebook, so was his wife. I'm sure they can get you some kind of rental to watch it, because a physical copy is very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I saw it, was renting it through the website, and I was kind of torn on it. I watched it twice. I wanted to like it. I mean, I guess I could say I liked it, but I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. I love Streets of Fire. I only kind of remotely liked Road to Hell. It's just, it was so much green screen, it's a little hard to watch at times. And I'm a big fan of Albert Pune, even some of the bad Albert Pune stuff, But it's just a little hard to watch.
This feels like it would pair. This movie itself would like pair really well with Pune's Radioactive Dreams. Like when I was watching this, I was like, you know what, Radioactive Dreams is right up the alley with this kind of thing. Like it's very close.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before, actually. I thought I did, but it's in the back of my brain. I've seen some other Albert Pune film. That's not that film. I have to check it out now.
Yeah, it's one of his best films, as far as I'm concerned. Like it's back when people were actually giving him money to make films and shit, which is sadly they don't anymore.
I will say, if you're gonna seek it out though, Road to Hell, and you're looking for this movie, you're not gonna find this movie, so don't go looking for it. That's the best thing I can tell you, because if you are looking for this movie with that sort of sequel, you're gonna be disappointed, because it's a lot. There's a lot of heart to that film, and I think that's why I watched it like 3 times when I had the opportunity to watch a screener, and it was it's good to me. I shared it with a couple friends, and they dug it too. So I guess it depends on your personal taste and what you're looking for, and it's not this though, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's matured. It's matured quite a bit. Let's put it. I'll put it the best way I can put it. We talked about how this movie is very music heavy, and it is, because they had lots of big names working on the soundtrack, and which if you haven't seen the film before and you heard the song on the radio, "I Could Dream About You" by the Dan Hartman Band, that's where this song came from, and it's still played on like popular radio today. So if you didn't know, call somebody or something. But
the gin, like, I didn't even look up the soundtrack, who was on it, before I started watching this, and then like the opening song is like, that has to be a Jim Steinman song. Like it's like I could picture Meatloaf there singing that shit. So it's like, and then lo and behold, yeah, it is, right. I actually, and Cameron was touching on this too, is interesting and cool as like the actual music acts that you see play in the actual film are. I actually really like just the soundtrack. It's the score itself from Ry Cooder. I think it's actually better than the musical acts that you watch on screen.
I'd agree.
I think it's really, really good. And at one point, there's even a cover of Link Wray's Rumble at the end there, before the final fight or whatever. I was just like, yeah, this is good shit. This is really good shit.
Well, it sets the tone and sets the mood for it so well. I mean, every movie, just about every movie, would benefit from a Ry Cooder soundtrack.
Yeah,
and also benefit from a Peter Jason crooked cop cameo.
Oh. He says an uncomfortable line, but it's meant to be hurtful to the Sorrells in their race.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Sorrells. Like, did they ever get any compensation for losing their tour bus and their $1,000 they had on it? I don't think they did they?
They got Billy Fish behind them now, baby. They're going to be big stars. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got a contract, so they didn't make out too bad.
They're back to wearing. They probably I think they had better suits in the end of the movie they did during on the bus. They look more shiny when Ellen Aim and the Attackers are belting out "Tonight Is What It Means to Be Young," which is, people say it's the better song than "Nowhere Fast." I don't think so, but that's just me talking.
Oh, I think "Nowhere Fast" is better too, by far.
Not the film that made me fall in love with the Blasters, but as soon as I seen Dave Alvin on the stage, with that massive Adam's apple bulging out, belting out those tunes, I was a Blasters fan at that point. Let's put it that way. It's they show up in this movie as the band of Torchies, and they cut a couple tracks out of that, and
man, that guy, the amount he sweats. Fucking crazy. Like, every shot of him, his face is just covered in sweat.
If you were the Bombers house band, you'd be sweating too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'd just be watching Gozer there, fucking going, and I'd be, yeah, I'm starting to feel a little hot.
It's important.
Yeah, I did not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to remark that I did not know that was Gozer. You guys blew my fucking mind with that. I got to rewatch it just to take that in.
That makes you ask that question. Are you a god?
I am today.
There you go. See, the answer is yes, always. See, it's a.
Are you sure that? Are you sure that was Gozer?
Yes.
Let me see here. I don't see her listed. I see a different actress listed for Gozer.
I know there's a couple stunt actors for sure, because I know that Adrian King was even involved in Ghostbusters from Friday the 13th, and some of those stunt scenes.
Because they say it's Slavica Jovan, and then we go to Streets of Fire.
I could be wrong about that. So
yeah, I had
mine not blown. Okay, sorry.
God damn it!
Ruined it for me.
Sorry, man.
Where Torchy's dancer Marine Jahan, who did Streets of Fire. She was in a TV show called The Wizard. She did some TV, but she did do dancing and stuff. But her only other movie credit is Morning Glory, whatever the fuck that is.
Mm-hmm. Morning Glory hole. I mean, Morning Glory.
Unless wait a second here. Let me just check here. No, yeah, two different people, but they did look very similar. So
I'm sorry. I got Cameron all excited there for nothing. And
yeah.
I'm fired from the show now. It's bad news.
Damn it. We're gonna have to run it without you, I guess.
God
yeah.
Damn it.
We're taking over the show now, Lee. We're ready.
Man. But yeah, great tunes throughout. I mean, with some heavy hitters in the mix, including the Rycooter Band, who has 2 tracks on the soundtrack. Personal favorite, "Hold That Snake," because you know what the song's about.
I could not guess.
A lot of stuff written by famous people. Tom Petty wrote the non-Ellen Aim track, "Never Be You," which is a great track. Stevie Nicks wrote the Sorcerer track, which is not Stevie Nicks again, but produced by Jimmy Iovine, who's look him up. He's produced many people, including currently Dr. Dre and Eminem and many other people in the past too. Man, oh man.
I think they wanted to use Springsteen for a while there too, but they were like, "Yes, Bruce, we want to use this song of yours, but we're going to have someone redo it." And he was like, "Fuck that."
Yeah.
Right?
They let him use the name of his song, I guess. That's a thing, you know.
Yeah, he drew the line to remaking it. You ain't remaking my shit.
Yep.
We don't want to pay you, Bruce. Sorry, bruh. You know.
That essentially is what it comes down to, because if they had the money, they've been like, sure, we'll pay you for it. No problem. Like, ain't going there.
You hear the song, you're like, this isn't Bruce Springsteen, you know? It's like I walked to a gas station one day. I work long hours on Monday, and one of those things I do is collect money from gas stations for newspapers. And I heard some hack singing Roy Orbison over the loudspeaker, and I was like, what have they done to Roy Orbison? Yeah, I said it audibly, you know. I had the same feeling about if they had somebody else sing Bruce Springsteen's music in this movie. I don't know.
You had a Don Corleone moment, like, what have they done to my boy?
I watched the extras on the original DVD long ago. I don't know the Scream Factory, the Shout Factory one. I'm gonna have to get that one of these days. You know, when they stop fucking around and give it a 4K like they've been doing, because it's out of print now. But I remember watching the behind-the-scenes stuff and them having these massive tarps up so they could keep the streets wet when it wasn't raining.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a big pain in the ass for them, was keeping these streets as damp as possible. in a dry Chicago at the time. I thought it was wintertime because that shit would freeze up like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of great stuff. Lots of great action set pieces. Like I mentioned, the Torchy scene, the scene at the end with the bombers coming to town. Just, nobody squeezed the air horn better than Willem Dafoe ever. He just that scowl.
And nobody walked away from a complete like flaming building in the background. You know what I mean? Better than Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like he owned that.
Cool. Just his hairdo. He's got the duck tail or whatever. Fucking going, the old 50s ducktail thing, like, yeah, he pulls it off.
Cool thing.
And I love how they're introduced. The bombers at the beginning, they're all like in that smoky kind of, darkness, and then it's just not till like they get that moment where you get the close up of Willem Dafoe, and it's just an epic introduction for a bad guy. An epic, when they finally show Raven, and he's just like, and Willem Dafoe scowls as only Willem Dafoe can, when he shows those chompers of his, you're afraid he's going to bite you.
Yeah. And interesting too, like he is a real nasty bad guy, but again, they pull it back to PG where he's not, like actively beating Ellen or trying to rape her like right away, like he's sexually assaulting her, but it's not going as far as it probably would go if this was like the Warriors or something like that.
Well, he's got the clothes for the bondage all day long, so he's all good.
Oh yeah.
Interesting shirt choice.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that tripped me out when I first watched this film, and still does to this day, is this being a Universal RKO co-production in the 80s, and that's got to make you happy. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
I got to go into. I never asked this, but I have a lot of favorite scenes in this film. What scenes really worked for you guys? I'll start with Cameron.
I think the actual attack on Torchy's is is the most impressive scene, because usually they say the big action set piece for the finale, and they really save it for Act 2 in that one. And it's just watching McCoy and Cody working together. At first, I'm kind of like remembering this movie as I was watching it after been so many years. And I'm like, this plan doesn't seem like it's going to work. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it is going to work. And it's the Jack Burton Big Trouble Little China moment. It's just really, McCoy is the secret weapon, and she is a badass. I would love to have seen more of her, but I think the actual attack on Torchy's is the most memorable.
Lee?
Definitely, I would echo those thoughts. I mean, it is kind of the big set piece. Other than the final fight, it's kind of the big set piece in this. Although, not to be lurid, but obviously the setup to it, where we get the introduction to Torchy's and we watch the dancer, and we linger on the dancer for a while as we're playing the music and shit, and just the whole setup to that, I think, is really good. And I also just kind of enjoy seeing Lee Ving in anything, even though he doesn't get a lot to do in this film. I was just like, every time he popped up, it's like, yeah, there's Lee Ving. Let him do something, please. Let him be a badass. And he just kind of scowls at our heroes and then collects Willem Dafoe's limp, bloodied body at the end of the fight and takes off with it. I kind of get the feeling he's going to be the leader of the biker gang after this, but
Yeah, I like it. You can't really not choose that scene, because it is the most stylized and irresponsible action scene in the whole movie, because it feels like an exploitation film, especially when he shoots that first tank and the guy just kind of like scuffles off the back. Like, that guy could have caught on fire for real, And
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a Cannon movie at that point.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
But I love everything about this film. I love the motorcycles and them looking, beat up and stuff. And it says here, more than 50 motorcycles and their drivers were featured as the bombers. They were chosen from 200 members of real LA-based clubs like the Crusaders and the Heathen. So they use real MCs to cast out the bombers, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
More stuff. The reason why Michael Pare was hating Rick Moranis is because he kept trying to like improvise and stuff and do his comedy bits, and he wasn't allowed to do that, obviously, and it was miserable for him to work with, apparently, or whatever. Walter Hill was reluctant to cast Diane Lane because he felt she was too young for the role. Hill met Lane in New York City, and when she auditioned for him in black leather pants, a black mesh top, and high heel boots, he was surprised with her total commitment to selling herself as a rock and roll star. Now, I'm not sure if, Ladies and Gentlemen, the Fabulous Stains came before this or after this, but it was very, very close to when this came out, and she played the lead singer in that movie.
I think it's after this or right around this time, or was it a little later on? Fabulous Stain.
That's another expensive DVD,
by
the way. Yeah.
Yeah, Fabulous Stains was 82 because she was underage in 82 when they had to, because there is a nude scene, like a butt shot of her in the shower in the Fabulous Stains where she's underage.
Yeah, I did not know she was underage in that movie.
Yeah.
I still have fond memories of Six Pack quite a bit, I'm sorry, she filled out early, and that's why I fell in love with her, with Six Pack, 'cause I saw it as a kid, and if I remember, I'd have to ask her, what's Kenny Rogers really like? Come on now, you don't tell me. Oh, being my dumb fucking children stuff. We'll talk about that with the next review too for the Patreon. Have a great time with this film always, and it's one of those films where people watch it and they'll do like reviews or like talk to me about it that are on the fence and want to get technical about things, and then I say, you know what, everything you're saying is right, but I still fucking love it, so I can't fault you, brother, but you're wrong at the same time, I'll kick it back to Lee, anything else he wants to talk about, and yeah, go for it, man.
No, I enjoyed this quite a bit. Like I said, first time watch, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Everything sort of fires on all cylinders. I mean, it's kind of light in story and characterizations and stuff. It's all very surface level stuff, but it's really well done surface level stuff. And then the actual world that the surface level stuff is put into, again, it feels kind of lived in, so it sells it a bit better. And it's just kind of fun, light comic book stuff. Again, not hyper violent. Probably the most scandalous thing is that dance at Torchy's, where that's where you're skirting the PG rating a little bit right there. But otherwise, everything's just kind of enjoyable to watch. It's kind of one of those movies that you would always watch on like a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, or whatever. You'd probably catch it on TV, that kind of movie. If I'd seen this back when I was a kid, it probably would have been one of those ones that I'd have a lot of nostalgia for. And the music's great. Yeah, this is really good. I wouldn't say it's necessarily Warriors level or anything like that, but it's a good companion piece at the very least, and it's got fun performances. So thumbs up.
Cameron.
I agree with a lot of what Lee had to say on this. It's good fun. The threat never feels quite real. It feels PG-13, but that's not a negative to the film. It feels like it could be set in that same universe as the Warriors. Like if the Warriors were to pass by in the background in a shot, you would not be surprised whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, it's what's really not to love. I mean, with everybody that's in it, from Willem Dafoe, Rick Moranis, even Michael Pare when he was in his prime, Diane Lane, definitely in her prime. I mean, young Bill Paxton, Richard Lawson, Lee Ving, Deborah Van Valkenburg. I mean, like everybody in it is somebody recognizable, and it's just a beautiful film to watch. Every frame of it feels pretty much like a painting. Like it's very well orchestrated. And I love the idea of making this comic bookish, where the action is real, but, the violence is a little off kilter, a little hokey, not quite so, blood-stained as most of Walter Hill's stuff would be. But it's a good lot of fun. I get a lot of nostalgic vibes from this movie. And I really don't think that, just on a side note, that Road to Hell is necessarily a bad film. It plays almost like a nightmarish, like a fever dream that the Cody character would have had.
Mm.
And, I would have... The one problem I have with this movie I have one issue is it feels like the middle chapter of a bigger story.
Yeah,
and I think that might have came from the idea that they were going to do a trilogy, so they felt like, okay, we're already going to have these characters entrenched in this, just damp fucking city, landscape, that's stuck in a weird 50s dystopia. I feel like it's a smaller part of a much bigger story, if I'm making any sense there.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was to have any one real issue with the movie, that's it. But it's great. It was a fun rewatch.
I got to give my MVP of the movie, which I think because it's the part was written for a man. McCoy in the movie was supposed to be Mendez, and possibly played by Edward James Olmos. So for her to take this role on, and I think the script changed very much for her to be this spunky, like I'd say, the biggest action hero of the movie. I think she has better line delivery than Cody. She has a lot of stuff better than Cody, and I think she worked it out in a role, and she's in a lot of stuff that I love, but nothing like this. And I think that's a shame that we weren't able to get more sequels to flesh out, this McCoy character even more than Cody. I think, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I'd rather watch a film with her as the lead than you can just take Cody right out of the damn thing, honestly.
Yeah, you could have done a McCoy fucking spin-off movie, and I'd have been happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cars. I mean, I love the scenery. Apparently, they did get hit with some inclement weather, of course, in Chicago. I think it was filmed around the winter time because they had rain, hail, and snow plaguing their production. so
probably either early winter or late winter when the temperatures are warmer.
Yep. When you watch it though, you are from the area. That is Lower Wacker Drive, and it kind of gives you the feels if you're from the area. And just even me going to Suzanne's house, I'll get off the train and just go walk that way, and go hit the Billy Goat Tavern and go have a chibuka, and that's not talking anymore. Originally, during the sketch, they used to talk like that in that place, in the original Billy Goat Tavern. But I go to Lower Wacker Drive and just see those pylons and that are still there, and trains coming above. It gives you the feel of this movie, like all the feels, and I just I love everything about it. The soundtrack, the Raikuder score, and I'm always a sucker for a Studebaker because I'm a Muppets fan, people. It's Fozzy's car all day long. I hate to bring the Muppets into it, but I will if I can. But yeah,
the Muppets take Lower Wacker Drive.
The Muppets take Lower Wacker Drive.
Muppets take Torchies.
Muppets take Torchies.
There you go. There's the epic crossover that we need.
These films write themselves, people. Okay, they just do.
This piggy gets jealous of the Torchies dancer.
If they replaced Muppets in this movie, I would not reject that idea. Who would be? Oh yeah. Who would be the leather daddy?
Oh, that's the thing now, right? Yeah, where it's like either who do you keep human, or who do you turn into a Muppet? Well, I mean, I guess you keep Michael Pare human because he's the straight man that you bounce all the Muppets off of, right?
No, you keep Gozer the dancer. The one human.
It'd be Kermit to go seek out Miss Piggy, and she's not really worth it at that point, so he just leaves her there to get literally porked by the bombers,
Besides, they're going to let her go in a couple of weeks anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. that meat has been brined. It's no longer good to them. I gotta stop it.
Yeah, what's Willem Dafoe's threat? Like, the movie is so, kind of like PG-ish and stuff. I almost kind of believe that was his intentions. Like, hey, I just want you to date me for 2 weeks and then I'll let you go. Seems like basically what the threat is.
I'll cut some bacon off your back while I'll have breakfast,
Little backstrap. We're horrible people. We're horrible.
Yeah, well.
That's okay, though. Wouldn't have it any other way.
I didn't think I was going to go there. I'm crying now, though, guys. Fuck it. Oh, my gosh. that's about the end of this one. This is where I'll tell Lee to push his show.
If you want to hear me talk about movies with my co-host Lady Lee and sometimes co-hosts Paul and Dan and the occasional guest host, you've heard Gary on there several times, and you'll hear Cameron on there in the near future sometime. Go to tmbdos.podbean.com where you can find my podcast, They Must Be Destroyed, on site, and we talk about a little bit of everything. So there's a little something there for everybody, if you did, no matter what the genre is.
Cool. Cameron?
I'm still kicking it at Cinema Degeneration to Podbean. We're pretty much everywhere you can get your podcasts. Here lately, I've been churning out a couple of the regular shows, Grindhouse Pizzeria, sequel to Deja Vu. But I have debuted 2 new shows here in the last week and a half. One called Simply Short Sundays, little micro-sized 10, 15-minute reviews. And then a strange show I'm doing called Without Warning, where I call up my friend Corey Dawson out of the blue and test his pop culture knowledge with a random topic that he has no idea, no preface to it at all. He has no idea what we're getting into. So sometimes I stump him, sometimes I don't. It's been an interesting kind of run of shows.
Cool. Yeah, all my Legion stuff. And I forgot to mention something. We don't get much Walter Hill news, but Funko has released the Warriors board game, and it looks pretty badass. And my friend has already bought it. I'm ready to go get drunk and play it together very soon. So there might be a video or something at some point in time of us playing this game. But I'm not sure it'll be as fun as the Warriors video game. But it's a card and dice based game, and it looks like a lot of fun. I gotta say, I've seen the board, and it's just bless them for making that happen. You know.
It looks like a lot of fun. I'm a big avid board game fanatic, and I've almost thought about buying it because the same company is doing a My Bloody Valentine board game as well.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I will stress this.
Have to get back to me on that. Let me know if it's worth the bones.
I will stress this. Go to your local hobby shop and buy it. Don't go to fucking Target and buy it. I hate when I see the Cards Without Humanity and stuff on the shelf at Target. I always hide them because I want folks to go to their local hobby shop and go buy this stuff. This is support their local comic shop and hobby shop, and this is stuff you should do, people. You know,
support the people who actually care about that shit, not just the big fucking box stores that are just selling it because they're selling it.
Yeah, they're just checking box number 37 on the list of what they got to buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, any show you hear on Legion Podcast from me will be under the Butcher Shop banner. Bo has it labeled as such, and I thank you for that, sir. And that show, Cinema Beast Podcast, 2 random commentaries, and Burning for Springwood will all be under that banner. So if you're looking into your podcatcher, if it's the first time you're listening to the show, click on it. You can subscribe that way. New show, 2 episodes in. I do with Heather Powell from the Friday Nightmares podcast, is called Untapped Gems. This is a show based on a list of movies that we have not seen as a collective, me or her. So, first 2 episodes are Don't Torture a Duckling and The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Those can be found on the Intestinal Fortitude Podcast Network. Go check those out there. That's about it for me. I'm sweating buckets, and it's only 50 degrees outside. This has been the last call at Torchies, and motor on, people.
Yeah.